As for the speakers, we have Aizat Hamdi, the Channel Development Manager of Sales Division, Senior Brand Manager of Milo, Ku Suying, and the Engineering Manager of Chimbong Ice Cream Factory, Alif Ikmal. And for your information, audience is highly encouraged to drop your questions and feedback in the chat box, as Team Gradon is giving away 5 Shopee vouchers to the ones with the most interesting questions. And don't forget to follow us on our social media Gradon to receive updates on the fair and the latest happenings in the Gradon Aspire. So without further ado, I'll be passing the floor to the moderator, Shariza. All yours.
Thank you, Dania. Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon. My name is Shariza. You can call me Sherry for short. I am the Talent Acquisition Manager here at Nestle Malaysia. I'm privileged here today to have my colleagues with me, Alif Ikmal, Aizat Hamdi, and Suying, which I'll get them to introduce themselves a bit later on. So a brief introduction of myself. I have been in Nestle for more than 13 years. I joined as a management trainee back then for the HR department, and been growing my career since then with Nestle. Yeah. So in today's session, we'll be talking a bit more about be a force for good at Nestle and what it means to all of us. All right. So we'll start off by an introduction of Nestle, and we will have the panel discussion afterwards. So I'll be sharing my screen now. Please let me know once you can see it. Yep. Okay, all right. So thank you very much. Okay, so we'll move on. Okay, so before we start, I just wanted to let you know that we will be taking questions at the end of today's session. So if you do have any, please do scan the Slido code right on the screen where you see now. It will also be posted on the chat box. So do post your questions on Slido. At the end of the session, what we'll do is we will prioritize the questions based on a number of votes, and we will try to address them at the end. Yeah. So a little bit of house rules. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we'll prioritize the start questions as well. We'll try to answer as much as we can, but you can leave comments in the chat box if you want to as well. All right. Okay, so I'll start again now. So basically, I wanted to share a little bit about what it's like to work at Nestle. Before we go into that, we wanted to share a bit about what the company does. And if you don't already know a little bit about Nestle's history, what we do, and what we are here for. Yeah. So Nestle has been around for many, many years. As you can see in the timeline here, we have been around since 1863. Yeah, a very long time. We were founded by a gentleman called Henri Nestle back in Germany, Switzerland. And basically, we have acquired quite a number of brands over the years. Yeah, and the famous ones, which you will probably already know, is brands such as Nescafe and Maggi. We also have a pet care business. Some of you might already know. It's called the Purina Pet Care business, and this is where our Friskies and Alpo brand falls under there. Okay, and of course, the story continues up to 2012. The latest acquisition was actually with YS Nutrition. In 1912, Nestle came into Malaysia, so it means it has been 909 years in Malaysia altogether. Yeah, we were founded first in Penang, and the first product that we produced then was actually Milkmaid condensed milk. That's no longer part of our business, as it's no longer aligned with the business current portfolio. We sold that off. And then in the 1940s, you can see big brands such as Milo and Nescafe, which was introduced in Malaysia and are still very popular until today. Our first factory was established in PJ in the 1960s. And you know, this was when Maggi was actually introduced in Malaysia. Yeah. In the year 2000s, we celebrated 100 years mark in Malaysia, and really the love story continues for us here. You know, bringing in new innovations, new products and categories for our consumers here in Malaysia. So we are a public listed company. Yeah, so if you look at Bursa Saham, you will see that Nestle's share price is one of the the high ones. Yeah, our turnover is 5.4 billion in 2020. Yeah, we are a company that produce 500 halal products with leading brands such as Milo, Maggi, and Nescafe. We employ more than 5,000 staffs in Malaysia itself. And if you combine Malaysia and Singapore as a market, we are about 6,500 overall employees. Yeah, 6 factories here in Malaysia. We are what we call the Halal Center of Excellence, which means all the products produced in Malaysia are certified halal. And that being said, a lot of our products are actually exported to different countries or Nestle markets, which are needing halal certified products. Yeah. And the nice stats to share with you over here, 9 million cups of Milo are actually consumed daily. Yeah, you'll get to hear more from Su Ying later on. I'm sure many of you in the call are actually fans of Milo. So that's I thought it would be a very interesting stats for me to share with you. Yeah, so that's quite a huge number of cups consumed daily in Malaysia. Yeah. We have many winning brands, and then the ones that you probably see are the ones you know already. Kit Kat being our leading confectionery brand that we have here today. We have a lot of ice cream brands, as you know as well. One that you probably will not be so familiar with in this slide is actually the brand Nestle Professional. So this covers our out-of-home category. Yeah, so which means if you are consuming a cup of Milo, a cup of Nescafe in the Mamat stores and so on, you will be actually, these are actually supported by our business unit called the Nestle Professional Business Unit. Yeah. And of course, other brands that you see here are like Omega, Everyday, Nestle. These are just some of the brands that are listed as our winning brands here in Malaysia. Now, how do we operate? So basically, Nestle Malaysia as a company, we operate end to end. Now, the unique part about us is we have an entire value chain, where our employees are placed. Yeah, so we are divided into 3 big categories, you can call it: ensuring supply, supporting services, and generating demand. So how do we ensure supply? Of course, we have factories which are producing the products which we need to sell to our consumers. We also have a supply chain or a function and a distribution center in what we call our NDC, Nestle Distribution Center, which actually helps us distribute those products to the customers that we want to sell the products to. Support services, of course, are the key units which are supporting our business units to make sure that things can run, right? So finance and control, HR, corporate affairs, legal, secretarial. And most importantly as well, at the end of the chain is we're talking about generating demand. So sales and marketing plays a very important role to ensure that the products reach its consumers at the end of the day. So later on, you also hear from Aizat, who's representing us from sales today, and Su Ying, who's coming from the marketing side. All right. So here's a bit about our factories. Now, this is an area where Alif, later on, you'll get to hear more from him. Basically, we have 7 different factories in altogether, if you include Singapore. Yeah, so 6 in Malaysia. It covers 8 of the business units that we have. Of course, we do have products which are imported from different parts of the world. Yeah, so the ones which are produced here in Malaysia, you can see 3 different factories in Shah Alam. They're all in Jalan Pelaya, Section 15, all in one street actually. So we have the Batu Tiga plant producing Maggi, the Shah Alam plant producing quite a number of products, Nescafe being the big one. And our latest new plant, which was just operated in January 21 under the brand Harvest Gourmet. Yeah, so this is actually our plant-based solution meal, which is a new category that we have just entered. So do have try if you have not done so. And if you are looking for an alternative to a protein-based meal, this would be a great product that you should try. Okay. Sri Muda plant producing our ready-to-drink products. So for example, if you drink Milo, Nescafe in a can, these are where the product is being produced. Yeah, highly automated factory. One of the newest factory that we have as well. In Chimbong, Negeri Sembilan is where we say the fun factories are. The Chimbong factory is there, and it is actually the biggest Milo factory in the world. Yeah, we also have the confectionery business there, and also an ice cream plant. Okay, that's why I always fun to go to Chimbong Chimbong, because there's all the fun categories are actually there. We have a plant in Kuching as well, and then in Singapore to support the Singapore market. Okay. So you must be wondering what has Nestle Malaysia done to be able to stay in this world for so long, or even to stay in Malaysia for this long, right? So it has really been 109 years for us providing nutrition to Malaysians. And I really believe this is because of the strong value that we have, right? And why the strong purpose, and what is the purpose that we have is really to unlock the power of food for future generations to come today and tomorrow, right? So we want to make sure that we are providing the right nutrition for people, right? At the same time, we know that our values are all rooted in the word respect, okay? Now, how do we make an impact? Where do we want to make an impact? For Nestle, it's not always about doing a great business. Yes, it's about delivering our business goals, but it's also about ensuring that the people around us are also taken care of, yeah? It's always about creating shared value. So it's for the individuals and families, enabling healthy and happier lifestyles. It's for our communities, helping thriving, resilient communities around us, and for the planet as well. Now, being such a big company like us, we want to make sure that the resources that we are using are also for the future generations to come. Yeah. So how do we do this? I'll explain to you in a little bit. So for individuals and families, now we know that in today's world, it's all about knowing what you're consuming, right? So we want to make sure that our consumers are educated with the knowledge of what they are consuming in every packet that they are buying from us. So if you buy any Nestle product, just look at behind, you read and understand the labels and what you're actually consuming, yeah? And one important commitment that we've also made is also to ensure that we will achieve reductions of sodium and sugar and reduce the added amount of sugar in our products as we go along and when we continue to evolve our portfolio. Yeah, and we've been able to do that for 19 of our products today. It's also important to encourage people to live a healthy lifestyle. So it's important for brands like Omega Milk, Milo, and in many other brands to speak about this to their consumers, to say, hey, yes, it's important to keep healthy. And it's also important to consume good food as well. Yeah. So we've done quite a number of initiatives under different brands, which my colleagues also later on can share more about. Okay. And also, there's things like teaching people about the halal awareness of the product that we have here in Malaysia. I think that's a very important aspect being in a country like Malaysia. We are a big leader in this, yeah, where all our products are actually certified halal. So what do we do for the communities that we live in? Now, in Nestle, we produce a lot of products, and of course, a lot of those resources we try to source locally as much as possible. And of course, some products we will have to source internationally. But we want to continue to educate farmers around us to actually help develop those resources, right? So we have programs such as the Nestle Chili Club, the Paddy Club, as well as right now the latest one is actually teaching farmers how to grow coffee plants, yeah, and learning how to harvest them and actually being able to actually sell them as well to Nestle and even other companies, yeah. So we believe that it is important that we also recruit youth around us, right? So I think youth today plays a very important role in the journey of everyone's life, yeah. And we try to educate as much youth as we can along the way through the different programs that we have, of course, the management training program, the internship program, even through all this career talks that we are giving. And just to share with you, I think we've done more than 30 this year, just half a year, just to really reach out and educate the youth out there on, how to prepare themselves for the workplace. And for the planet, it's really about how do we look around us to make sure that we are really looking after the environment that we're in. Now, being Nestle, we have huge factories, right? How do we continue to ensure there's zero gas emission coming out from the factories? How do we ensure zero waste to the landfill? Now, it is a commitment that Nestle has made globally that by 2025, all of the packaging from Nestle will be made recyclable. Now that means we want to put zero waste to the landfill moving forward. Yeah. We've also committed to plant 3 million trees over the next 3 years. Now, this is a very exciting journey for us. We reached 1 million trees last year in 2020. And our new CEO our CEO, Juan Aranos, have actually made a commitment to plant another 3 million trees for the next 3 years to come. So this is a huge project that's ongoing and a very exciting one that we hope to achieve. Of course, for our employees, we also do a lot of activities. We have the beach cleanup day that happened, I think happened last year and the year before as well. So really to encourage it from within, to make sure that, you know, this kind of behavior comes from within our employees, as well as the things that we do out there. Yeah. So to sum this up, I wanted to ask you guys to watch a short video from our CEO, Juan Aranos, to just explain to you about what it means to work at Nestle for him and how he can make an impact here. Okay, enjoy the video.
Hello, and apa kabar? Saya Juan Aranos, CEO of Nestle Malaysia and Singapore. I started my career for Nestle in Spain back in 1990, and I have worked in different countries across Europe, South America, and now here in Malaysia and Singapore. When you join Nestle, you start a journey where you become part of a global community of people. And all of us strive to build our professional career while also making with our work a positive difference for the community and for the environment. We are all passionate about our brands and about having a positive impact in the life of people around the planet that get nutrition, health, and great experiences from our products every day. Here in Malaysia and Singapore, we have a story of more than 100 years, and we are part of the daily life of many millions of Malaysians, with brands like Milo, Maggi, Nescafe, KitKat, and so many others. It is through this that we can drive innovation, continue to evolve, and to grow our brands and business for the long term. As I grew in the company, I got the opportunity to get jobs of increasing responsibility in different parts of the world, including our global headquarters in Switzerland. I have enjoyed each and every one of my assignments, including now the current one in Malaysia and Singapore. Through my career, I have benefited from the advice of different mentors and colleagues who were there for me when I needed them and guided me to make professional choices. Many companies talk today about doing good, but at Nestle we have been doing good for over 150 years. This is part of our values and culture. Our mindset is about creating shared value, doing good as a business while doing also good for the society where we operate. In my case, I am deeply passionate about the environment and about leveraging Nestle's scale and reach to help the community. We have been the first large-scale food and beverage company to eliminate plastic straws by moving to sustainably sourced paper straws. Imagine that, over 200 million plastic straws that will not go to landfill or into the ocean. We support hundreds of farmers in Malaysia to help harvest chilies, rice, and coffee beans for our brands, and we are advancing in our objective to plant 3 million trees by 2023 to help reforestation and carbon absorption. Nestle is a great workplace, but it's more than just a workplace. It's a place for people to connect, to develop, and to grow their careers while having an important and positive impact on society. That's what we call being a force for good, and that's why we invite you to join us in this purposeful journey. I am a force for good at Nestle. How about you?
All right, I hope that you enjoyed that video. Okay. All right, so we will move on to the next part of today's discussion. Now, as mentioned earlier, so I have the privilege to have three of my young, exciting colleagues who joined us once upon a time as a management trainee as well. Aizat Hamdi, Kusuying, and Alif Ikmal. So I will get them to quickly introduce themselves before we start. Aizat, do you want to go first?
Yep, sure. Thanks, Sherry. I'm Isaac Hamdi. So this year would mark my 8 years in the company. Started off as management trainee, where my assignment was under sales and marketing. So since then, I've been building my career to various functions of sales and marketing.
Thank you, Aizat. Suying, how about you?
Hi everybody. My name is Suying. I'm currently the Senior Brand Manager of Milo Malaysia. Just like the rest of my colleagues here, I'm also a management trainee from the 2014 batch in sales and marketing as well. Collectively, it's been about 4.5 years because I did export externally, but happy to be back in Nestle and appreciate the difference and the value that Nestle can bring.
Yes, nice. Thanks, Suying. All right, and Alif?
Thanks, Sherry. Hello, everyone. I'm Alif, currently the engineering manager for Chimbong Ice Cream Factory. I'm a management trainee graduate, class of 2017. So I joined as a management trainee under the TNP, which is a technical and production division. So now it's my 3rd year, moving into the 4th year.
Very nice. Thank you, Alif. So he's from the fun factory that I mentioned, you guys. All right. Okay. So basically, how I wanted to get is I wanted to for these 3 of my colleagues to actually share a little bit about their journey, in Nestle, and really to just share about what it's like to work at Nestle, right? Because a lot of you out there are probably curious. Many of you guys stay in Nestle, and I'm sure you're wondering how come Sherry has stayed there for 13 years. So it's really about understanding a little bit about the work culture and what has been the journey so far. So I'll start off with Aizat. So Aizat, can you share with us a little bit about your journey in Nestle and what have made you decided to actually, or what made you decide to take sales at the beginning of the program? And maybe share with us some of the exposures that you've had so far.
Okay, thank you, Sherry. So like what I mentioned earlier on, when I first started in management training, I think back in 2013. So the exposure was actually through various fields of sales and marketing function. So at first, I've been given the privilege to go through the field sales management, and afterwards to key account management, trade marketing, as well as marketing. And by the end of that tenure of 2 years of management training program, I found myself very much deeply interested in terms of learning more on the sales function. I mean, the benefits of going through management training, because right after you graduate, you never know what you're going to do, even though I graduated as a marketing degree. But at that point of time, after the finish of the program, I just felt myself very inclined to do sales. I love the actions. People are, be able to meet new people and things like that. And of course, in sales is about, to a certain extent, the game of chasing numbers. So that's what intrigued me at the first place. So afterwards, been given a few opportunities to handle multiple key accounts in Nestle. So as you can see over there, that was one of the key accounts. If you know, it's actually known as a billion. So being able to actually travel across Malaysia to actually meet and explore on what are the great benefits or actually great purpose that we can share with our customers back then, especially this billion supermarket was really huge in the area of Kelantan, for example. And afterwards was actually being exposed to another sets of customers where at that point of time, I believe we made a lot of significant changes, handling patronage. So there was a major skills of knowledge sharings, marketing drive and things like that. And of course, I think just last year, I made the decision to actually explore more in marketing, because in that juncture of my career, I really wanted to understand the overall values of commercial planning to a certain extent, because when you are in sales, you're always about executing it with the customers, and it's always marketing who's going to be driving the consumer ends of brand engagement and of course the product usage. So I've been privilege of mine to be able to handle one of the oldest brand of Nestle in Malaysia, which is Everyday. And I think early this year, I've gotten another opportunity to then further proceeds into another functions of commercial planning, which is trade marketing. So by using all those knowledge in sales and also a stint in marketing, and how should I further experience and then imply those experience in the fields of trade marketing. So yeah, it's
Very
been a
nice.
fruitful
I
journey.
think, yeah, definitely it sounds very fruitful. I think if I look at, one of the most fruitful journey of a management training, I think you had one of the most interesting ones, having had different exposures within sales function itself, and even the opportunity to do marketing. Yeah, so well done, Aizat. And I hope that you'll be able to share a little bit more later on. Okay. All right. So we'll move on to Su Ying.
Thanks, Sherry. So
Yeah,
very
Su Ying, so
quickly.
tell us a bit about your journey.
Sure. So I actually graduated from a mass comm degree, and from there I actually entered a agency first to do social media specifically, because that at the time it was up and coming, it was very exciting, and like what Aizat as well, I do get the adrenaline from all the chasing on timelines and stuff. But from there, learning from agency, that's when I was exposed to a lot of business from different clients, and that's when I felt, hey, I really want to know what it takes to run a business, right? So with that, there was an opportunity with Nestle to learn sales and marketing. And just like what Aizat said as well, coming fresh from the oven, it's a great way to really explore and gain a lot of kinds of learning across the different functions. And Nestle at the time was a really good platform to enable such fulfillment for an individual, especially a fresh graduate like myself then. So from there, I've actually explored externally and actually came back to the nest after 2 years. And this really, that's when I started my career in Milo, Malaysia specifically. So it's in about 2.5 years since. And on this slide here, you would see a lot of green, shades of green, right? But these are all the activities that we have done. A lot of Malaysians grew up with Milo, and Malaysia Breakfast Day was one of the biggest events that we take pride in doing year on year. So that was the first picture. On top of that, yeah, me too. Hopefully we get to do that soon. But aside from that, like Sherry, like what you mentioned, Nestle is all about enriching Malaysians' lives. So we do also innovate from time to time, and these are just some of the new products that we have launched last year. So a lot of commercial sense beyond just the events and the brand image building. A lot of it comes to also product that we create, and this is just a few things that we do on a marketing side.
Yeah. Thank you, Sweeney. You've also had a pretty interesting career journey. I also I really remember the first time when I met Aizat and yourself. We would clearly see that, when I met Aizat, okay, clearly I said, this guy is definitely for sales. And I met Sweeney, this girl is definitely for marketing. You can really kind of spot this as professionals right in the beginning of, even the selection process. All right, so thanks for that. Okay, so we move to the hardcore part of Nestle, which is Alif, right? So Alif is the backbone of helping us manage the backbone of Nestle, which is the factories. Now, Alif, maybe a quick sharing of how was your journey in Nestle so far?
Thank you, Sherry. Overall, I would conclude the journey has been an awesome journey. I really do enjoy my time. So what really interests me the most in Nestle is that I find that most of my principles are aligned with what Nestle stands for. Especially in the view of sustainability. I've always been a big believer in sustainability and in creating a positive world, especially a green and a better future for our future generation. So I've always been also an curious kid. So I've always wondered how machines work, and that is how I got into engineering. So a bit contrary to Su Ying and Aizat, what interests me most is machine rather than people. So I like to work with machines, and I like to understand how basically they're working, and also to get exposed to future technologies and have the capability to bring this into our factory. So for the first year as a part of the management training, you have the ability to rotate. So you have the exposure to different kind of department. For myself, in my case, is I get to rotate between maintenance and project. So the very first year, I was doing maintenance for the Chimbong factory, actually. And the second year, I move on into supporting Project Sustain. This was actually a project for the expansion of the Milo plant here in Chimbong. And the third year, I was attached to the confectionery plant, which is producing Kit Kat and Crunch at the time, and as well as the Nestle Nutrition. So I was exposed to a different environment. It's more physically demanding environment. But I really enjoy it because I get a chance to learn from my seniors who has been in the factory for a number of years, and they are really knowledgeable in what they're doing. So overall, I would conclude it's an awesome, and I'm happy.
Very nice. Thank you, Alif. A very exciting journey for you as well. I think that's one great thing about the management training program is the support system, the structure that we have, whereby, all these trainees, they learn from each other, and really that's a part of how they grow here at Nestle. Okay. All right. So I'll move on to the next part. Okay, so this question is a bit more about, understanding a bit about the culture, right? So what is it like to work here at Nestle? The different things, because honestly, Nestle has a great working culture, but in different units or the different divisions, they also have their own ways of, working together as a team, creating that team environment. So I just wanted the team here to actually share a little bit more about that. So maybe Suying can go first. What it's like to work here for you, and maybe if you could share a little bit more with the audience.
Sure, Sherry. So I think on top of all the great things that you have shared on what Nestle is made of, I think what's really personal in the experience of working here is that from a marketing standpoint, beyond just selling food and beverage products that we do, we are also doing that good beyond the product, right? Like for the community, for the employees, and even lately the accelerated effort for the planet, the overall goodness of the planet. And that would actually make the career more fulfilling beyond just your skill set, because you really feel that you're making a difference in people's lives for the future. So I think that's something that I think is very important today. We work day in, day out, and it's very important to find joy and meaning in what you do, so that you have passion to continue to move on and for a long term.
Yeah, I think that's very important, right? In any job that you do, you have to enjoy doing it. So you have to really find that passion within you so that you can actually continue further.
Yes,
all right. Thank you, Suying. Sure. So Aizat, very similar to yourself, maybe if you could share a little bit about the working culture in the sales environment.
Sure.
What's it like?
I would not sugarcoat it. I would say that working in Nestle, especially in sales, is challenging. It is, especially in these times where we want to creating shared value, but at the same time, we are also trying to deliver the business targets, the business KPI and things like that. But across my experience in sales, it has been fun and exciting as well. That's why I can say, because at the whole ecosystem where you're not just interacting with salespeople, you're also interacting with customers, you're interacting with internal stakeholders such as trade marketing, even marketing people such as Suying, you would be able to then gain that knowledge from them to actually build yourself up in the career. And of course, when I first joined as a fresh employees, I mean, I wouldn't have known head or tail about what is sales, right? But along the journey, I've been able to meet a lot of not just my direct manager, but also learn from various people inside the company beyond just my working functions, where I found that is very comforting and relieving at the same time, because as long as you're willing to push yourself and as long as you're willing to learn, and of course, asking the right questions, I believe Nestle would be the best platform for you to learn and also to perform and excel in your career.
Yeah. Very, very nice. I think that exactly sums it up, because, it's all about, we believe in transparency here at Nestle. We believe in an open culture. So it's really about, asking when you need to ask, right? Learning from each other, because a lot of the time it's about learning on the go, right? Learning as you go along, doing it, and then you actually learn how to do it, right? And the connection that you build, the people that you work with is really important, because that's where the relationship and the learnings are also coming from. Okay, so thank you, Aizat, for that. All right. So the next question would be what it's like to grow here. So this one is for Alif. Now, Alif, you've joined us in 2017, and after that, you've subsequently taken on quite a big role as an engineering manager after less than 2 years graduating from the program. Share with us what has been your learning so far that has helped you build yourself to get there.
Yeah, thank you, Sherry. Most importantly, being a manager is that you have to have a strong leadership skills. And I think Nestle as a platform has helped me provide that throughout, even during my management trainee time as well. When I was first joined in 2017, I was given a chance to shadow one of the engineers and help to supervise and manage a team of 10 people. So that really helped me to understand and how to communicate effectively to my system, into my team, and how to engage them in a way that is effective and that can deliver what we want. So in my second year, I was attached to a project. So that helps me, because part of engineering is that you have multiple projects that you have to execute. So I was given the opportunity to learn and understand how project work is executed. Of course, at the time I was still relatively new to the organization, but I was not left alone. So means to say there is all the time someone guiding me along the way, coaching and mentoring me on what is the right thing to do. And most importantly is that you have to have the desire to learn and perseverance, even when faced with difficult obstacles. And during my third year, I was then moved into maintenance again for the third time. This is again, it was quite big responsibility at the time. Confectionery is one of the largest plant in terms of footprint. So, and it comes together with a bigger team. So it was 20 plus people at the time to manage. And of course, these people, some of them are, at the age of your father, or your even your grandfather as well. They are 50s, almost close to 60. So you have to understand and learn. The approach is going to be a bit different, especially coming from a factory background, whereby the education level is a bit different from what you expect in headquarters or in office setup. So the approach and the kind of engagement is a bit different. So you have to be adept. You have to have the flexibility and the ability to understand all this. And now I've started in my engineering position, manager position. It truly is a different kind of environment. And now it's been almost 6 months. So overall, it has been a good experience. I'm working with a great team, and I'm learning from them. Most importantly is that don't be afraid to ask questions, even when you feel that the question not right. Just ask questions. Even if you don't know something, just ask. It doesn't hurt. Yeah. So I think that has helped me a lot. So all the graduates out there, don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you don't know, just say that you don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's very, very important. Having the courage to ask questions, right? And that's how you really learn. And Alif, for you to have gone through that journey, I'm sure it's a big one. And if you did not go through without asking, I don't think you would have gotten where you are today. So well done to you. And I think big shoes that you are filling today. And I'm sure a lot of aspiring young ones out there who are joining the management trainee program, or who are even in the management trainee program today, would want to be someone like you in the future. Yeah. All right. So Sui and Aizat, this one's for you. So maybe on this topic of grow, right? Maybe if you could share just shortly about a little bit about the achievement, one big achievement that you're very proud of, that you can relate to how you actually grew here at Nestle. Maybe Sui can go first.
Sure. I think just writing on about growing, it's a lot about that support system that we get cross-functionally. I think one of the significant milestones that I can attribute to that is how, yes, in the 2.5 years that I'm in Milo, half of the time we're all stuck at home because of MCO, but yet with the help of the entire team, end to end, we were able to launch 2 new products during pandemic. And I think that's something that I feel very proud of the team. A lot of hard work was done, and we got around it. Working mobile from away from office and at home, and to me, that is something so significant because it's not just showing really good collaboration with the team, but also being able to give that good work out to the Malaysians for everybody to enjoy as well. So that's something that's very huge.
Yeah, congratulations. I know it's been really hard for most of us who have been home for more than 2 years. To really trying to drive things when you're at home and not really able to interact with your colleagues as usual. It was not easy, but a lot of us, we pulled through, and as a team, definitely achieved all those. So well done to you as well, team. All right, thank you for sharing. Aizat, over to you.
Well, I guess it's gonna be very similar to what Suying has mentioned. I think my biggest, I would say, my biggest achievement that I'm proud of that we managed to pull it through is actually during the pandemic last year. So that was the first time that I joined marketing. I don't know head or tail about doing marketing. I mean, I always been in sales before, and I always question marketing,
You're a
what
sales
they're
guy.
doing. Yeah. So when we first started, just imagine that you need to take the whole plan, the 12 months plan, and then put it on the dustbin, and then try to create a new one. And on top of that, we as a team back then, I mean, me and my direct line manager and some other colleagues, we really stick it through, and we managed to launch a new product under the everyday portfolio, which has not had any new product for the longest time. And we managed to do that. We on top of that, we also managed to improve some of the KPI that was set to us. And what really made me proud is that we do it as a team. Like I said, the support system has really been great, even though there is definitely late nights here and there. I think it's sugar-coated saying that here and there, but it is. You put in the extra work, but you're really proud to see it work, and you're really proud to see when it was the first time to see an ads was ad on the TVC. That was my first work, and you can see it live, and you were like, all of this really meant something, and you feel that happiness being able to bring this to life and also to share the benefit and goodness with all the consumers out there.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. Really this pandemic has taught many of us a lot of things. I'm sure the audience out there as well. And to be able to achieve something big like that, it's something that will be part of you as you go along in Nestle. Yeah. So thanks for sharing that experience with us. Okay, so the last question that I have here is on the impact. Now, we talked a lot about earlier Nestle being a company that it's not here just to make money, but really when we want to make an impact to the environment, to the people, to the communities that we are here in, especially the Malaysians out there. So I wanted to just leave this a bit open. So for any of you to probably share a little bit more about what does it mean when you can have impact when you join here, the impact that you can get here in Nestle when you work with us. Maybe I'll go with Suying first, because I know Suying has an exciting story to say to share with us.
Yeah, I guess the impact, of course, by working with a brand like Milo that is so Malaysian, I guess the impact that you can really put for the community is also with the power of the brand. Everybody knows Milo, everybody trusts Milo, and with that, we are able to also then string along a lot of good deeds, like how we have done a lot of activities during Ramadan, where we suggest people to join us in donating and doing CSR, and people, because of that belief and that trust in the brand, we are able to then collect more good deeds to help more people, right? So ultimately, it's about passing that goodness to our consumers as well. So for me, I think that's something that's very impactful. But aside from that, aside from humans, I think we also need to protect that future generations that's to come. And that is where this year we have actually launched Milo Sayang Bumi to really house and officiate all of our sustainability efforts under Milo. So things like what you have mentioned, the conversion of from plastic straws to paper straws in our UHT. On top of that, we do a lot of behind the scene plastic avoidance initiatives for the powder segment as well. So these are all little things, but we know when we work late at night, like what Aizat say, or before we go to sleep, you know, this is the few things that we do today that will make an impact for tomorrow, and it makes us smile when we wake up the next morning. So yeah, mainly those kind of impact that have a long-term effect. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else? Aizat or Alif, something to share?
Yeah, from the factory point of view, in terms of creating impact, it has to do with the carbon footprint. That's number one, and second is sustainability. So for the carbon footprint, there's initiatives that is being done in the factory. This is to optimize our processes, to adapt energy efficient solution and exploration of new technologies. So Nestle is constantly looking for opportunities to reduce the carbon footprint, and hopefully it will help the environment in overall. And secondly, in terms of sustainability, we are also looking into reducing our usage of plastics or completely to discard them. So there is now initiative also being done in I think multiple businesses across Nestle to try to avoid using plastic in our packaging and possibly look into paper as or any other green effective solutions.
Right. Yep, it's a huge a goal that we have as a company to reach there by 2025. Definitely a huge efforts from every one of you, everyone part of Nestle actually to actually get there. All right, thank you, Alif. Aizat, anything to add on your end?
Well, I guess just to reiterate on what has been explained further by Suying and also Alif, I mean, on my end, yes, as per my experience, I also acknowledge that Nestle has always been putting the effort in order for us not to just giving or getting the product to the hands of our consumers, but also creating that shared value as a company, as we believe on the equal importance of those community around us. So one of the initiatives that I could remember that I've managed to also did was back during my time in Everyday, where during the first pandemic hit, we worked with a lot of those NGOs such as Red Crescent and Mercy to ensure that we give the right nutrition in order to sustain the community that has been impacted by the COVID-19. So yes, it definitely brings a smile to my face knowing that we did that kind of good to ensure that sustainability.
Very nice. All right. Thank you, Aizat. Okay, so we've come to I guess, the more exciting part for the audience, which is the Q&A time. Now, I'm sure quite a number of you have actually submitted questions through Slido, and we have prioritized some of those questions. So Priya, would you be able to maybe read out a couple of questions for us?
Sure, Sherry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So I think we do have quite a bit of questions that came in today. So I'll start addressing them, and maybe we can see which speaker is okay to take it on. So firstly, a very interesting question that I got. Really adore how Nestle support female senior executives through its gender acceleration plan. So how do you describe work culture in supporting female to lead?
Maybe I can take that one. So I think,
sure.
For us, it's a journey that we're going through, to make sure that we have more female leaders at certain levels of the organization, and even throughout, So we do encourage more female representation in all the different job families, even job families in the factories where we know, for example, like a female engineer, it's not so often that you find one, but we have been able to find and build really homegrown engineering female talents, which we have today. And even, in our warehouses where we know, like, for example, a job of a forklift driver is not really meant for a female, more of a male job. But we did come up with an initiative where we actually encourage more female people to actually, taught them how to drive the forklift, actually got them the certification, and now they are actually our forklift drivers at the factory, at the warehouse. So I think there are very conscious efforts that we take around this topic. So, it's really to ensure that we have female leaders across the different levels, across the different functions. We look at ensuring that there is no gap in terms of pay, so in terms of male and female pay. We look at development as well to ensure that there is no gap as well between male and female. Now, of course, a lot of my female colleagues will always smile and say, oh no, now it's always female and no attention given to male. It doesn't work that way. For us, it is a balance, but of course, in certain areas where we know it's a bit more skewed to male, we just want to have a bit more balance. So yeah, hope that answered the question. Thank you, Priya.
Yep, sure. So the remaining questions are very much more on management training. So firstly, one of the, I guess a common question that has been asked by a lot of the audience here today is, how would you describe an ideal management trainee candidate?
Wow, okay. Maybe I'll start from a HR standpoint, and maybe any of my colleagues here can jump in as well. So I think management trainees, you guys are fresh graduates. When we recruit management trainees, it's usually fresh graduates or those with less than 2 years of working experience, internship experiences, part-time work experiences, right? And it's really we recruit more for the attitude. That's how I believe. Yes, you will have to meet certain requirements when it comes to qualification of degree. And but for us, it's more about finding that the right behaviors that we want to see in a candidate for us to be able to mold them to become future leaders of the company. So it's really about selecting those people who are courageous, who are very eager to learn, who are not afraid to ask, like Alif mentioned, who are able to work in a team, who can really bring themselves well as well. So when you go through these assessment centers, that's where we actually try to kind of see this kind of behaviors that we want in MTs, and honestly, when we have been pretty successful doing that, and the current MTs that we have today are doing very well, and they're really learning a lot. And you can see, from the panel today as well, they were once MTs, including myself. So it's really, I would say, a great effort that we have to put in the selection process, but it really makes a difference in terms of the program itself and the quality of MTs that we have. Okay.
All right, very nice. And I think among us, there's a lot of also aspiring MT applicants and those who have completed their application and are currently waiting for their results. So the question is more on, how can I prepare for the assessment center as well as interview if I'm shortlisted for the next step?
So maybe I get my colleagues to ask, to tell them, what do you guys think? What did you guys do to prepare? to prepare for the ACs and interviews?
I guess
anyone? Aizat? Go.
Maybe I can just start the ball rolling, right? I guess first and foremost, calm your nerves. Be true to yourself.
Exactly.
I think it's important to really put you up front. Like what you say, Sherry, attitude is very important, and making sure that you are open-minded going in, knowing what you are willing to learn, be excited about it. But I think from a professional standpoint also, be prepared. Be prepared about knowing yourself first, knowing the company. I think doing some homework is also important. But ultimately, don't pretend to be somebody else. I think that's the first and foremost thing, to be yourself truly.
Yeah, very important. I agree. Be yourself. Yes. Isaac?
Um, well, I think there's not much to add to what Swing has already mentioned.
Mm.
Definitely, I mean, me back then, definitely just be yourself, calm your nerves, and put yourself out there, and then make your homework and things like that. But at the end of the day, always know that in each interview that you're going, give your give the best version of yourself, because ultimately it comes back to that experience and journey that you gain along across your career. So if let's say in that perspective of preparing for that management training, so like I said, be yourself and just put yourself out there and be confident. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Alif, anything to add?
I think Su Ying and Aizat pretty much sums up the preparation that needs to be done for the interview.
You
But
also
most
say calm your
importantly,
nerves, is it?
yeah, but most importantly is that you have to recognize and understand your strengths and weaknesses. Don't be afraid to discuss this even during the interview, but also try to find ways to improve your weaknesses. That's one. And secondly, on your strength, if you're already strong on certain points, it doesn't mean that it cannot be further improved. So work on that as well.
Very nice. Yeah. So great advice from our panelists there, guys. Hopefully you can learn from them. Thank you. Priya.
Nice.
Is there
So
another question?
maybe one more question, Shari, because I'm being mindful of the time as well, and quite a number of our audience would like to know how would their experience be if they were to join the management trainee program in the engineering function. So what would be some of the work exposures that they will get? Alif, would you be able to share a little bit more around this area?
Okay, so speaking from my experience and what I understand, maybe Sherry can correct me if I'm wrong. For engineering, you will be, as a management trainee, you will be exposed to different rotation. You will be assigned to certain function within a certain duration, within certain months. So mostly for Nestle, if you are joining in a bigger factory, such as Chimbong or Shah Alam, you will be rotated across the different plant, as well as different tasks, which includes maintenance and project. So for myself, I was the first year in maintenance and the second year in project. So you'll be exposed to these two different kind of environment. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you will have the same experience that I have. It might be slightly different from one person to the other. This is also depending on the factory needs as well. So, but the most important thing is that you will have a lot of things to learn, and most of the people here are not going to abandon you. They will support you along the way.
Yes, exactly. I think exactly what you said, Alif. There will be rotations within the different plants, yeah, and even the factories nearby. But I think it's a lot about hands-on for the engineering MTs, of course, yeah, being able to work on maintenance and being involved in different projects. I've spoken to quite a number of MTs recently, the ones who just joined us last year. A lot of them are very actively involved in many initiatives that are happening along in the factory itself. So very hands-on, I would say. And if you're the type of engineering graduate who would like to, you know, really get your hands dirty and really understand how a factory works, I think this is a great place for you to try it out.
Yeah. Just a point, Sherry. If you see an engineer in the factory, you'll see their shirt with the grease. That's for sure.
Yes.
That's how you know
sure.
they get their hands dirty.
Correct. So if it's not dirty, then something's wrong, right? Yeah. Thanks, Alif. Okay. All right, Priya. Would this be the last question, Priya?
Yeah, Sherry, you can carry on with the closing slides.
Okay. Sure. Thank you very much. Okay, so I want before I just move on to this, I just want to thank my panelists for a really interesting and engaging discussion among us to really share about what it's like to work here at Nestle. Now, I'm sure that in the audience today, a lot of you are really excited to want to join Nestle and really be part of us someday. So how do we do that? And just want to share with you some of the current opportunities that we have today. So the management training program, guys, it is still open. Yeah, still at the final tail end. We will be closing in a couple of days, 12th of July, if I'm not mistaken, right, Priya? So basically a couple of days left for you to actually put in your applications. Now, this program has been in Malaysia for more than 30 years. Along in the Nestle world, I'm not too sure how long, but a lot of our Nestle leaders are actually coming from the MT program itself. So really, this is a program where we want to build future pipeline for the company. You will have to go through a comprehensive selection process. Now, it may not be so easy, but if you do get through it, you'll be very, very rewarded. Yeah, it is a 2-year program as well. You will get to go through exposure or rotations within the function that you have selected. Now, so when you apply, you actually have to select a particular function. And when you select the function, you will get to go through the rotations within that function itself. Yeah, so it's very similar to what our friends here have actually shared with you. Okay, so go ahead and go in and visit our website. You can find it later on at the end of today's slide, and yeah, give it a go. Right? Who knows? You might be the lucky one that will be selected this year. The Nestle Malaysia internship program, this is also open for those of you who are now looking for an internship placement, whether it is a one that's needed to be fulfilled by your university requirements, or even those recent graduates who says, hey, look, I've not gotten a job yet, I just want to get some job exposure. Honestly, internships are actually the best way to learn. Yeah, so go ahead and apply for that as well. We do not have a closed period for this. It is actually open all year round, and it is based on business needs. So just to share with you the numbers, last year we hired more than 180 interns a year. This year is also even going to be more than that. So do apply, and if you're interested, yeah. We have also have another internship program. It is an internship program, but it's called the Nestlenship program. Now, this is actually a purely virtual internship program, yeah? So for those of you who are not, maybe not in Klang Valley, you're probably in other states and you want to still do an internship with Nestle, you can actually apply for the Nestlenship program. Now, this is actually a program that we created, with all this pandemic that has hit us recently. We note that it is still important that people complete their internship, so please give it a go as well. And this is also open to people who have graduated or who are currently studying as well, right? Okay, so that I think we've come to an end to today's discussion. I just want to thank everyone for your time, for your attention, for the engaging discussions. You can connect with us in our social media pages. I hope you've enjoyed the session, and yeah, looking forward to meet you someday, whether through LinkedIn or even face-to-face later on during the assessment centers. All right. Thank you so much to Aizat, Alif, and Suying for joining me. I really appreciate you guys taking your time away from office to do something for the youth, and hope you have also enjoyed the session. Take care and stay safe. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sherry.
Take care.
Right. Thank you, Nestle, for
Thank
the
you.
insightful session. I hope everyone enjoyed the session as much as I did. And for your information, we've also received a few questions on the chat box. So I would like to ask the panelists a few questions, if that's all right. So the first question we have from Amira Sakina. Is it possible that we have to unlearn what we know and relearn new knowledge and values that are more aligned with the organization's vision when joining the company?
Okay, well, that's a very big question. So I
It's
said
quite a long
unlearn
one.
and relearn. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think for me, it's always about learning new things. Yeah, it is, of course, sometimes unlearning the way you are doing things in different types of companies or even in different roles. But definitely in new companies, when you join Nestle, for example, you will have to learn to do things quite differently. Yeah, so I think being a big multinational company, we do have different processes, different things to get done when we need to do a certain thing, and it does require you to learn new skills. So yes, you will have to learn to adapt.
All right, thank you. And we have another question from Sasi Reka. So since Nestle is a diverse working environment, may I know what is the most challenging part of working in a diverse working environment?
Okay, I'll allow any of my colleagues to take that. Anyone?
Maybe I can jump in because I spoke about cross-functional teams, right? So I guess there's a beauty in getting diversity when you have colleagues from different walks of life and you build that relationship with them. I think what's challenging is, of course, because those people have different walks of life and different point of views, it's always a challenge to get everybody on the same page, right? But I guess with clarity and also with effective communication, it's all about getting people aligned to one goal and ultimately go into one direction. So I guess it's not so much of a challenge. Ultimately, it's rather an opportunity to hear different sides of the things and work around it. So again, it's also a skill building opportunity as well. I hope that answered this
All right.
question.
All right. Okay, thank you so much for sharing your opinions and views on these questions. I really appreciate it. So to the audience, be sure to visit Nestle's World booth to grab your chance to make an impact and grow to be future leaders with Nestle. And also, don't forget to vote for Nestle as Malaysia's most preferred employers for the Graduan Brand Awards. You can place your vote on the virtual booth and also the Brand Awards websites. And to the audience members that had the questions answered live or chosen during the webinar, Team Graduan will be in touch with you on the Shopee vouchers. So stay safe and I'll see you at the next Aspire webinar session.